Wanted to dispel some banking myths you see in movies and you hear. And the first and foremost, it's done to death. In sitcoms and in movies, the dad has been laid off and he wants to start his own business with a coworker, whatever, and they go to the bank to get a loan and they get turned down. Or they get a loan or they have trouble starting the business. Okay, so first and foremost, that's correct. They would get turned down. If you just show up at a branch with a bit like a business you just started with a business plan, they're gonna loan you a damn thing. That's not how it works. They're not like, well, this year I'm gonna make $3 million. Yeah, banks don't deal in hope. They deal in facts and figures, and you have to be established in business for a couple of years or longer to get a loan. And you have to have financials. Like one main one I've seen is Magic Mike, where he's trying to get a business loan. He's like, look at this large stack of cash. And I guess he thought she was going to be impressed. She's like, okay, that's great. But they need financials. In real life, it doesn't matter how much you say your business makes, because most business clients fib on their taxes. They claim $10,000 and collect $100,000, then brag about the $100,000 they make. That's cool and that's great until you need a loan, but that doesn't work out. The other thing is the deal of, if we don't make our payment by Wednesday, we're going to lose our house. The process and turnaround is not that quick. Like you have to be 3 months behind, and then the bank will talk to you, and you have options. Like you can put in for a hardship request, an extension. You can do the deal of where, I don't know what it's called specifically, but you can skip like 6 months worth of payments. But the thing is, if you do that, the 6 months, you have to pay those at the end of 6 months. So on the sitcom, that dad trying to start a business and pay the mortgage and they're going to lose it. It doesn't really work that way. Once you've exhausted every option, yeah, your house could be foreclosed, but the banks are not like looking to turn you away. They're not looking like, they don't want to take your house because that's a loss. Because if you got a $200,000 mortgage, the bank's not like excited to seize the asset, sell it, take a $100,000 loss. The bank doesn't want that. They don't want that from people. So it's just made to build drama. And I know it's fiction, but I'm just trying to dispel some of the myths about it. And as far as like robbing a bank, one movie that really gets it right is a movie called Bandits from the early 2000s. Really good watch if you ever get a chance to watch it. Like those are the robberies that banks and financial institutions worry about, the morning glory robbery. Because there's that movie, I won't go into detail what it gets right, but everything it does, like about banking and how like banks open and stuff, they get it right. So that's a good one to watch, like about correct bank myths. But like the movies where it has everyone freaking out during a robbery, no, most robberies don't involve somebody coming in with a large machine gun, dog day afternooning it up. No, they usually come in, hand you a note. The note just basically contains a threat of force, usually alleged, and that's what 99% of robberies are. The wearing a mask deal it doesn't happen as frequently, but that's most of your bank robberies. And I'm trying to think what else. They always act like all the banks on TV are these like huge, like just cathedral buildings. And that really isn't true. Your typical branch lobby is usually about the size of someone's living room, maybe even smaller. And you got 3 windows. I mean, it may be different up north, but most of your banks, if you've been in one, are there. And I'm trying to think, like, and the deal on Ozark where he gets $7 million out, Not many banks have that much money lying around. No bank I've worked at has ever had that much money. Like usually not even a tenth of that. And if you get more than that, you've got to ship it off. I mean, I guess there, in theory, could be a bank that was that busy, Federal Repository, but like, I don't really foresee one, because if you kept that much money, it's one of the deals of you're begging to get robbed, pretty much. It's like they don't want them to keep that much money around. And another time, this was years ago on WCW Wrestling, Raven, the wrestler, went to the bank and got $10,000 in ones. I can assure you, no bank has that lying around. No bank on earth has $10,000 in ones. Like, you will never see it. They had to specially order that. They didn't just have it sitting there. They probably ordered it ahead of a time for dramatic effect. And another thing is, like, that confuses people is the people, like, in TV shows, they'll have the billionaires and like, I got $1 billion in the bank. Probably not. They've got different and other accounts for that. No one with any sense will keep more than that in a account, because they're only insured up to a certain amount. I don't think Bill Gates has $1 billion in his bank account. I'm sure he's got another way of dealing with money. But that's one thing to keep in mind, that no one with any great sense is keeping that kind of money around. And I mean, if they do, I mean, so what? But and another one that gets it right is It's a Wonderful Life, because they're trying to get their money out, and he's pointing out how deposit structures work. It's like, oh, your money's in his house or in his house, because deposit growth affects how much the bank can lend out. They're required to keep that money in there, but your money kind of goes toward the growth of the bank and growth of everything else. So when they're trying to get the money out, which I've never seen a run on the bank, that's why we have laws in place from the FDIC to prevent stuff like that from happening ever again. But you are obligated, like, if somebody has 100,000, we're obligated to give it to them, but we try to talk them out of it. Like getting that much in cash, that's another thing. Like the people that come in and casually get money out, there are laws. And the people at the branch are gonna be like, you sure you don't want a cashier's check? It's a lot less to carry, and it's a lot less likely to get robbed. And I'm trying to think what else. And most of, like, teller work's a lot more complicated than it looks. And another big one for me is they put bankers on a pedestal. You're like, my dad's a banker, or my family's in banking. Now, if your family owns a bank, sure, you have money, but if someone works as a personal banker, I wouldn't call them a wealthy individual. Like most bankers at a branch that open accounts, they make probably between $38,000 and $50,000 a year, give or take. Not bad, but they're not pulling in that money and driving a Bugatti to the parking lot. But so just keep that in mind. I was just trying to dispel a few banking myths that you see in movies.